Imagine stumbling upon a giant skull buried beneath the earth. What secrets could it hold? What if this discovery rewrote history as we know it? Stay tuned as we dive deep into the mystery of the giant skulls found across ancient civilizations. Are we truly the first to walk this earth? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you've ever heard stories of giants or mysterious ancient civilizations, you've probably heard of the bizarre discovery of giant human skulls. These skulls, unearthed in places like California and the American Southwest, challenge everything we know about human history. Some say they're proof of ancient giants who once walked the earth, while others argue they're just myths. But today, we're going to unravel this mystery one skull at a time. These photographs aren't just a glimpse into the past. They're a window into one of the most controversial archaeological discoveries of the late 1800s. Imagine it. An expedition into the rugged hills of California, where something extraordinary was unearthed. Giant human skulls, some said to be over 20% larger than those of modern humans. For many, this was nothing short of sensational. For others, a mystery that defied explanation. On screen, show close-up images of the skulls from the photo. Zoom in on details such as the size and pronounced features, like the massive eye sockets and thick brow ridges. But what makes these finds so fascinating? What was it about these skulls that made them stand out in the first place? Was it simply their size? Or was it something that threatened to rewrite everything we thought we knew about human history? Pause for dramatic effect. Some say these skulls are remnants of a lost civilization, a people who lived long before recorded history. Others, however, argue that these skulls were misidentified, maybe even tampered with, to create a more sensational story. Imagine a world where ancient giants walked among us. Could it really be true? Or is it all just a tale spun by overzealous explorers and photographers? On screen, show archival photos of early excavations, possibly with people standing next to the giant skulls for comparison, adding a sense of scale. So why do these discoveries raise so many questions? What's behind the controversy? Could we be looking at an ancient cover-up? Or is there a simpler explanation like the misinterpretation of bones from other creatures? It's a question that continues to haunt archaeologists to this day. Pause briefly to allow the audience to reflect. Take a moment to think about it. What would you believe? Could the ancient world have been home to giants? Or is this just another mystery left unresolved by time? As we continue to explore these remarkable discoveries, one question lingers. Who were these people? If these skulls were truly human, then who did they belong to? Let's start with some of the most famous discoveries, those unearthed in Lovelock Cave, Nevada. Here, archaeologists found bones and remnants that seem to belong to a race of beings far taller and larger than anything we know today. On screen, show images of the Lovelock Cave and the surrounding area, adding a sense of mystery with the cave entrance and the rugged landscape. According to local Native American legends, these bones belonged to a tribe of giants called the Sitka, who were said to be over 10 feet tall. The story goes that these giants were fierce and warlike, and eventually they were defeated by the ancestors of the tribes who now inhabit the region. But these stories are more than just folklore. They align with the discoveries made in the cave. On screen, show photographs or artist renderings of Native American tribes, as well as giant skeletal remains. Could the Sitka tribe have been real? Could their tales of war and conquest be rooted in actual history, preserved through generations of storytelling? The bones found in Lovelock Cave were massive, with some skulls showing characteristics that seemed out of place. Large brow ridges, oversized eye sockets, and the sheer size of the bones suggest a people who didn't just live in these lands, they dominated them. Pause to let the audience absorb the gravity of the find. Let's not forget these weren't isolated findings. Similar reports have surfaced in places like California, where large skeletal remains have been uncovered in burial mounds. Could this be the physical evidence of the giants mentioned in ancient myths, not just here, but around the world? From Europe to South America, stories of giant beings abound, and many of these cultures share strikingly similar descriptions of these giants warriors, with incredible strength, towering over their enemies. On screen, display more images of burial mounds or artifacts associated with ancient cultures, showing comparisons between the giant skulls and human-sized remains. But if these skulls were giants, why have we found so few of them? Why hasn't more been uncovered? It's possible that many of these artifacts were destroyed, hidden, or lost to time, their significance erased. Some suggest that powerful forces might have even worked to suppress these discoveries to maintain the established narrative of human history. Could it be that these giant remains were hidden on purpose? Pause again for effect, allowing viewers to digest the implications of such a cover-up. The search for answers continues, but one thing is certain: the mystery surrounding these giant skulls is far from over. What do you think? Could there have been an ancient race of giants, as the legends tell? Or are we looking at the remains of a forgotten civilization, lost to history? While the theory of ancient giants might sound captivating, there's another side to the story, one that challenges everything we've discussed so far. For many historians and scientists, the discovery of these skulls isn't proof of an ancient race of giants. Instead, they argue that these findings are nothing more than a misinterpretation of the evidence, possibly even fabricated for the sake of sensationalism. On screen, show black and white images of early archaeologists or scientists working with skeletal remains, with close-ups of their skeptical expressions. Take, for example, the argument that many of these so-called giant skulls were actually just larger than average humans. It's important to remember that throughout history, humans have displayed a range of body types and sizes. Just like today, there have always been outliers, people who were exceptionally tall or robust. On screen, show examples of tall historical figures like early giants of history, or even modern examples of tall individuals. Could these giant skulls just be the remains of unusually tall people, misidentified as giants? Some skeptics suggest this may be the case. They argue that the perception of these skulls as giants comes from the overzealous interpretation of evidence by early archaeologists, whose motives may not have always been scientific. On screen, display old newspaper clippings or early excavation photos, showing exaggerated headlines like "Discovery of Giant Skeletons." And then, there's the possibility of tampering. Early photographs of these discoveries, especially the ones with oversized skulls, were sometimes staged or altered to make the skulls appear larger than they actually were. This practice wasn't uncommon back then. The world was fascinated by sensational stories, and some archaeologists might have been eager to feed that interest. Pause to allow the audience to reflect on the possibility of manipulation. Could it be that these skulls were exaggerated or even faked to boost the credibility of a particular archaeological team, or to sell more books and articles? After all, sensational stories of giants were guaranteed to spark public interest and boost funding for future expeditions. On screen, show images of old, faded photos with exaggerated proportions, alongside a modern photograph of the same skull or artifact, for comparison. But even with these reasonable doubts, could there still be something more at play here? After all, why did so many of these skulls show similar characteristics? The massive size, the elongated shape, and the mysterious nature of the bones. They all seem too coincidental to ignore. Pause for dramatic effect. So where do we stand? Could it be that these skulls are simply the result of overactive imaginations and a historical desire to find something larger than life? Or is there still a mystery waiting to be uncovered, buried beneath layers of doubt and disbelief? Now, Let's shift gears for a moment and look at something even more intriguing, something that might just point to the truth behind these giant skulls. Across the globe, in regions far apart from each other, similar stories have emerged. Ancient cultures, from Europe to South America, have legends of giant beings who roamed the earth long before modern civilization. On screen, display images of giant-like depictions in ancient artwork, such as the famous sculptures of giants in ancient Greece or Native American petroglyphs. Take the myths of the ancient Greeks, for instance. The Titans, massive, godlike beings who once ruled the earth, or the giants of Norse mythology, who were said to be so large and powerful that they could move mountains. And then there's the evidence from ancient texts, from the Bible's Nephilim to the Sumerian stories of huge beings who walked among early humans. On screen, show artistic depictions of Titans, Nephilim, and ancient giant-like figures from various cultures, emphasizing their size. These stories have traveled through generations, shared by cultures thousands of miles apart, but the parallels are undeniable. How could cultures with no contact with one another all have such similar myths about giants? Could these stories be based on something real, something passed down through time, etched into the very foundation of human history? On screen, show a world map with lines connecting these regions, for example, Greece, South America, North America, Africa, to visually emphasize the global connection. Could the giants of these myths be more than just legends? What if the giant skulls discovered in North America were not an isolated incident, but part of a much larger global phenomenon? Imagine if these skulls were the physical remains of a race of giants that once roamed the earth, a race that was present in every corner of the world, from the Americas to Europe, Asia, and beyond. Pause for reflection, showing images of ancient ruins and artifacts from various continents. And consider this: many of the ancient megalithic structures that still stand today, like the Great Pyramids of Egypt or the giant stone heads of Easter Island, have long been attributed to advanced civilizations. What if these structures were not built by the ancestors we know, but by a people of immense size and strength, beings who could move massive stones with ease? On screen, show images of giant stone structures like Stonehenge, the Great Pyramids, and Easter Island statues, with a comparison to human figures for scale. The connection between these ancient stories, the mysterious structures, and the giant skulls unearthed in North America may not be a coincidence. Could these remnants be all that's left of a once great race? And if so, what happened to them? Did they disappear, or were they wiped out by some catastrophic event? And why did so many ancient cultures preserve these tales of giants in their myths? Pause briefly to let the audience reflect on the global reach of these ancient legends. Now, after everything we've uncovered, these giant skulls, the mysterious legends, the skeptics, and the global connections, let's face the most important question: what's the truth? What are we really looking at when we gaze upon these ancient remains? Could these skulls truly be the evidence of giants, or is there another explanation that fits the facts better? On screen, show the giant skulls once more, this time with a slow zoom in for dramatic effect, focusing on their features. Many of us love a good mystery. The idea that giants once roamed the earth is an appealing thought. It sparks our imagination, connects us with ancient cultures, and challenges everything we thought we knew about human history. But as with all mysteries, the truth is often far more complicated than we would like to believe. Pause briefly, allowing the audience to reflect on the complexity of the mystery. Let's consider the possibility that these skulls are not the remains of giants, but simply the bones of extraordinary humans, people who were taller, stronger, and more resilient than average. Maybe their size was an anomaly, a genetic trait that allowed them to survive in harsh conditions, or perhaps they were part of an unknown civilization whose influence has been lost to time. It's not far-fetched to think that the human race has evolved in ways we don't fully understand. On screen, display images of rare medical conditions that result in unusually large growth, such as gigantism or acromegaly, to show that human size has varied throughout history. Could these skulls belong to a group of people who lived in isolation, far from other human societies? Perhaps they were part of a forgotten tribe whose size was exaggerated in the eyes of outsiders. Or maybe they were part of an advanced civilization whose legacy was erased by time, warfare, or even deliberate suppression of their story. Pause to allow the audience to consider these possibilities. Alternatively, maybe these skulls really do belong to something, or someone else entirely. Could they be the remnants of an ancient race whose existence was wiped from the historical record? After all, civilizations rise and fall, leaving only traces of their passing. What if these skulls are all that's left of an ancient people, whose story has been lost to the sands of time? On screen, show images of lost ancient civilizations, like the Indus Valley or Atlantis, to evoke the sense of a hidden history. So what's the answer? Are these skulls the evidence of giants, a people who once ruled the earth? Or are they simply the remains of a group of unusually large humans? The truth is, we may never know for certain. But the mystery of these skulls continues to spark curiosity, and maybe that's enough to keep us questioning the past and the possibilities of what might still be hidden beneath the earth. Pause briefly before concluding. One thing is for sure, the mystery of the giant skulls isn't going anywhere. And as long as these questions remain unanswered, we'll keep searching for the truth. Because sometimes, the search itself is the most exciting part of the journey. So there you have it, the mystery of the giant skulls, from ancient legends to modern-day discoveries. What do you think? Are we looking at the remains of an ancient race of giants? Or is this just another myth shrouded in mystery? The answers may still be buried deep in the earth, but as long as these questions linger, the adventure of uncovering the truth continues. On screen, fade in with the channel logo and a subscribe button, alongside a call to action. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history's most fascinating mysteries, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you believe? Could these skulls be proof of giants, or is there a more rational explanation? Let's continue the conversation. Pause briefly as text appears on screen with links to other videos related to ancient history or unsolved mysteries. Thanks for watching, and remember, history may be written, but the mysteries are still out there waiting to be discovered. Until next time, stay curious. End screen. Suggested videos and social media handles appear.